In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to do a simple SQL query using Java. Let's start out by demonstrating how it looks in the MySQL interface. So I've already loaded MySQL. So we're going to use the database that we want. And here's my SQL query. I have a table named Films. It has 3 fields, title, year, and director, and 2 films, 2 records in the table. So now that we've seen how to do it in MySQL, let's see how we do it in Java. I've already started a program called Simple Query. So you'll see that we have a connection object, CONN. We have all the other variables and objects that we used to connect to the database. Now we're going to add some new objects for executing a statement. The first of those is a statement object, and we'll use that to formulate our SQL. We also have a result set. The result set is where the data from the SQL query is stored. Once we have that result set, then we can iterate through it just like it's a collection of any data using next, and we can index into the result set to look at the individual rows of the table we're querying against. The next thing we're going to do is instantiate the statement object by calling createStatement. That method will instantiate the statement object. Once we've done that, then we can retrieve a result set by calling the executeQuery method from our statement object. So here's our query, select star from films. Once we have a result set, then we can iterate through it using a while loop and the next method. So what we're going to do now is we're going to retrieve the different fields from a row. So we do that by creating a variable and then calling a method, either getString or getInt, depending on the data type of the field. So for example, the title is a string, so we're going to call the getString method with the index of title to retrieve the data that's stored under the column for title. Next, we're going to retrieve the year, which is stored as an integer. So we call getInt and the name of our column or field, which is year. And then finally, the director. Then once we've retrieved the data, then we can display it. I decided to separate those out to make it a little bit easier to follow. So now we're just going to write out a little heading with the data. So you can see what I'm doing right there. Like so. Close off the loop. And then finally, and this is very important, close the result set. We also should probably go ahead and close the connection also. We don't have a finally block in this program. So we'll go ahead and close the connection as well. So let's save the file. Go back to our command prompt, compile the program, and then run it. And there are our 2 films. Annie Hall, 1977, Woody Allen. The Godfather, 1972, Francis Ford Coppola. So, of course, there's much more to queries and simple select statements. We didn't even try to narrow down the result set or the data that we're returning any, and we can certainly do that, and we'll look at examples of that later on in the chapter. But for this lesson, I just wanted to demonstrate the basics of returning data from a query, and this is how you do it. So now let's move on to our next topic in the next lesson, where we're going to talk about how to create a new database and table using Java.